We're here today with Vlado Bosanac, CEO and co-founder of MyFiziq. Vlado, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David. Pleasure to be here.
Firstly, explain the tech for people who don't understand MyFiziq.
Sure. So what we've created is a mobile phone-based technology. We utilise the camera functionality in the phone to scan the human form. And how we do that is we've written a proprietary algorithm and a capturing system where we take control of the mobile phone and we scan the individual privately in their own home across 12,000 data points using burst photography in iOS and then video in Android. And from that, we're able to create extremely accurate dimension.
Why is it important?
Listen, there's a number of reasons, and I think certainly in the last few years, e-health has become a very dominant part of the market, with people understanding the necessity to have other ways to touch consumers, or even doctors to touch their patients without having to bring them in, but understand the course of life they're going on with risk. And where, lifestyle disease is 2/3 of the reasons people die every year is lifestyle related, because we have these fantastic diets and we live these lifestyles that give us far more body fat, and the risky body fat around visceral fat that is the causation of a lot of these diseases. So when you're talking about what we do, the technology works in a number of verticals. So if I started with health and life insurance, for instance, insurers for 50 years have used BMI as an indicator. Now everyone knows it's not accurate, but there hasn't been an alternative. Now what we've done with our technology is we've created an ability to not only scan the human form, but give that data back in a way that an insurer can understand it. We actually identify the data points of risk, which is what a doctor would look at. If you walked into a doctor's office, the minute you walk in, he will look at you and know whether there are other tests he's going to want to send you for, just based on your shape. So we do that at home in under 30 seconds. So we give you those touch points, and we give that capability from the application's point of view to identify risk associated with the structure of human form. So that the metabolic diseases, if you like, that are related to diabetes, coronary heart disease, stroke, and so on. And they're all lifestyle related. So when you're looking at risk in the communities, 30 to 40% of the population has diabetes or is pre-diabetic. The problem is 90% of them don't know it. They see the ads on TV and they go, that's not me. Well, the truth is, for 30 to 40% of you, it actually is you. And it's not whether you can run a marathon or not, it's the way you store body fat on your body, so we can identify those things. So that's, for a health and life insurer, that's a game changer. Because right now they ask you a heap of questions, they compete online on price, but they actually don't know if what you've answered is true, and they actually don't know what your physical condition is without sending you to a doctor at great expense to them. So we, if you like, curve that risk for them by giving that data. Then if you flip the other way and pivot into buying clothing online. So the ability to shape your body and understand your body and fit your body for clothing is the holy grail for the apparel industry. 40% of all online purchases come back. Now, this day and age, if you're a Google, an Amazon, or a Nike, or an Under Armour, or any of these guys, they've got to give you a returns policy that keeps you as a customer. So you can buy 2 or 3 of everything and send back the ones that didn't fit the way you want them to. They supply you a sizing chart online, so you can look at that and you identify where you think your size is. What you don't identify is the difference between chest, waist, hips, thighs, and how that might change the way the garment hangs on your body versus how good it looks on the model online when you see it. So what we do is we don't just identify according to their sizing chart what your size is, we take into account across the sizing chart how it would fit you on the different fits. So we actually not only code it to identify your 12,000 data points and however many points it might be to shape a t-shirt onto you, but if you're between an extra large and a large on the shoulders, but a large and an extra large in the waist, we will ask you, would you like a tight or a loose fit? So we actually give you a recommendation engine that goes with that. So it's quite a unique way to approach apparel, and the apparel companies we're talking to love the fact that we've identified it that way rather than just stitching patterns and guessing, if you like, for want of a better way to look at it. So apparel is a huge market for us. From a business perspective, it's a revenue share type model where what we do is, big companies that say, Nike's a great example, 150 million units online sold a year. How we price for a company like that is up to the first 5 million units, it's 5% of the basket. So if they spend $5 with you, we get 5%. If you spend 500, we get 5%. Now on their margins on the actual manufacturer of clothing, that doesn't hurt their balance sheet at all. But if we can change the dynamic of 10% of those returns, it's a game changer. It absolutely makes a difference to these guys. The flip side of that is, if they do over 5 million units with us, it drops to 4%. Above 10 million units, it drops to 3% and stays there. So the volume works for them, we can accurately assess the person and fit them, and it changes their returns policy. So it's a fantastic outcome from the apparel industry. That's just one example. Corporate wellness, very closely aligned to insurance. The employers these days want to assist their employees by helping them understand where the risk lies in their own health. They give them all sorts of programs and incentives because they're trying to make the workplace not only more engaging, but they're trying to increase ROI, less sick days. And the way they do that is with these companies such as Vitality, where they bring in these programs where you do activity and you get rewarded for the activity through the programs. What they don't know though is they know you've done the steps, you said you did the nutrition, but is it making any difference to you? So that's the piece we add in. We actually say, right, you've done the steps, this is your nutrition, you've stayed the same. So if you do want to lose weight, these are the tweaks you need to do, which they would normally give them the recommendations because we've supplied true on-the-day data. So from that perspective, especially in these big companies, Walmart for instance, 500,000 employees around the world, there's no way HR can touch every one of them. That's where we step in and say, well, we can give you a dashboard with all this information and it gives you a grid search across the entire employee landscape of what's happening, who's doing what and what their physical condition is. Now these companies in the US pay for the insurance for these people as part of their employment programs. So they want to understand where the risk lies and they can target it. Rather than overall give everybody a health package, say this is the segment we need to look after because we can identify the risk that's associated with it. So like I said, it's very closely attuned to insurance. And then the last one, which is the easiest one, which we started out in, is fitness. You know, just the vanity involved in fitness. People are training, they're running, they're dieting, they're doing all the things they want to do, and they jump on the scale every morning to see where they're sitting in their mass distribution. What they don't know is I've been doing weights. Is my chest getting bigger or my arms getting bigger? Is my waist getting smaller? And they're trying to reshape themselves by doing the training they're doing. So we actually give them that piece. We say, well, this is what's happening. The nice thing about it is we're so accurate with our dimension is the smallest changes can be identified. So that gives you an ability when you're training to pivot very quickly in the process to say after a week, if you're not seeing some change, even if it's millimeters, it says to you, you're not changing, pivot change. Do something different, change it up. And that information is what we give them. The beauty of the way we do that in all of these worlds is we're not a B2C business, we're a B2B business. So we give all of these organisations with huge existing user bases the ability to bring our technology in. Why it's great for us is we're not marketing to every individual, we're marketing to the company with the company, and then they add it to their process. So they're already trusted, they're already being used, most of the time already being paid for. All of a sudden for $1 or $2 more a month, you can have unlimited tracking of your change, and they love it.
And how have you gone against metrics that you see as success, whether it's financial, operational? How have your metrics been looking?
So there's a lot of ways to look at where we are at the moment. So, you know, the holy grail, if you like, or the thing that our shareholders want is app revenue. But setting that aside for a minute, because that takes a little bit of time to build and get moving, we've got more than 300 companies now registered with us, working through how commercialisation can work, testing with the app, doing a number of things for us. That in itself, to me, is absolute validation that there is a necessity or a need or a want in the marketplace for us. So that is the first tick in the box. We've signed 12 deals. We did a $5 million joint venture into insurance. We've had $2.5 million of build and license revenue from companies. That to me validates there's an absolute want and need for what we've created. The nice thing about what we've done is we've patented it worldwide. So, you know, if anyone wants to do this, God bless you, do your best, but not the way we do it. We've patented that way. It doesn't mean there won't be another way to do this. The landscape's huge, so there's plenty of room for other players in the space. What I do know at this point in time, no one can do it as accurately as we can do, as consistently as we can do it, and as easy as we can do it. Doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. I'm not scared of competition because it's a big landscape. But we've gone out there, we're talking to the biggest, and we're putting deals to bed with enough companies from that side of things to get to where we want to revenue-wise. For me, the short-term and long-term vision is 10 to 20 companies, averaging, say, 500,000 to 1 million users each, at an average of $1 a month. That would give us $10 to $20 million of revenue a month, and we're a $1 billion company. So the vision or the view or the hope would be you build it and you know what they say, you build it and someone will come. So if it's a takeout, it's a takeout. If it's growing shareholder value and dividends, we're happy with that as well.
So looking forward, one of the key metrics I assume is transitioning the companies that are using or onboarding or trialling the platform into those revenue stages. Is that what investors should focus on over the next 3, 6, 12 months?
Sure. I think investors have been somewhat impatient because we've signed deals, but it is tech, and it takes time to not only build our platform into those pre-existing platforms, but then agree launch dates and integrations and so on. We were probably a bit assumptive in the early days because we know how fast we can deliver our side of the tech, and we assumed that they would be as ready and easy to do it as we are. But when you're dealing with some of these large companies, Fitocracy is a great example. 12.5 million active users, 2.5 million paid users, averaging $40 a month US. So that's an enormous revenue stream. The guys signed the deal with us, got on with business, and then all of a sudden went off to Europe to buy Freeletics. 38 million active users, and stopped focusing on the build out of the new revenue generating app, which we were all part of. Nicely, we've made an announcement recently about Movement, which is who now runs and delivers all of the tech for FitLabs. Fitocracy is one of those. So we'll finally get that done with those guys. Same as Mayweather, same as Conor McGregor. They sit in the same pool, but there's an entire team wrapped around just digital delivery now, whereas before it was a heap of guys that are venture capital guys, then giving out the work to individual companies to finish work for them. Now they're focused and they've built out and financed a digital delivery arm. So from our side of things, that has been the slowdown for us. So what everyone's been waiting on, and probably why the share price ran to $1.65 a year or so ago, is on the back of we signed those deals, so they thought, great, you're going to revenue. There is always lag time. We are now where we'd like to have been back then, with all the confidence everybody showed, and if we could monetize, where we're building and completing these apps. So the first one will be a Vault, which we're building currently. The second one will be the Mayweather app, and then it'll either be Conor or Freeletics directly after that. Amongst the other ones we've signed, such as TicTrac and Wellcom and these companies, they also have their own roadmap and timelines. What we're doing with a lot of those companies, because they can't fit into our build program this side of Christmas, is we're doing a rough and ready imaging app that they show people in their consumer base to say this is what's coming, and then we line it up for next year.
And those groups don't have insignificant audiences.
Oh no. Listen, if you looked at just our current contracted companies, they're sitting at around 500 million sets of eyes. So it's significant, it's very real.
Exciting times ahead.
Certainly is.
A world-class platform with genuine partners who are energised to turn on over the next 6 to 12 months, if not sooner. Vlado, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure.